Hello, my name is Sharik, and I wanted to talk to you today about a possible connection between corona and our meat consumption. So, the beginning of the coronavirus has been pointed to the city of Wuhan, where a seafood market and a biochemical biomedical lab are very closely located to each other. And there might be a possible connection between both of them, but it is uncertain what the exact origins are, so it is debatable, but many scientists agree that it might indeed be the case that this virus is of combined origin between fruit bats and pangolin, which are animals, exotic animals. In Africa they call it bushmeat, in China it is, the wild meat market. But we all can agree that it has to do with our greed and overconsumption of meat, and also this has a possible connection with the intensive farming that we are practicing to satisfy our need for meat. So mass production of meat also plays into this. For example, corona outbreaks have been linked to meat factories in the USA, and latest news tells us that meat consumption assists the spread of the coronavirus. So we can also learn from past outbreaks such as MERS, SARS, swine flu, bird flu, etc. And some even say the common flu, that there are possible links to meat production and overconsumption. This begs us to actually go back into history and look at examples from diverse sources, and I choose to go back to the Revelations, and in the Bible as well as in the Quran and in Hadith there are stories about sacrifices, and we all know that the story of Abraham required him to sacrifice what is very dear to him, and that was his firstborn. In the Judeo-Christian tradition, that is Isaac, and the Muslim tradition, that is Ismail. So something very dear to him. But we know that at the last moment the sacrifice was accepted and his son was replaced with a lamb. And we also know from history that in the Moses story there was a sacrifice required by the people of Israel, and they were reluctant, but at the end they agreed, and that this sacrifice also had an impact into the worship of the calf which they practiced beforehand. So something very dear to them, the cattle they had. And obviously if we sacrifice something very dear to us, then it is required that it is dear to us in the first place, because only then it is a real sacrifice. So on one hand to avoid the worship, on the other hand to avoid obviously the over indulgence into the meat. So out of love for the animal, we can then put the love for God above the love for the animal, and that is the actual sacrifice. And this lesson is in the Surah Rahman, in the Surah Baqarah. But in the Surah Rahman we also learn about the beauty of creation, and we also learn in the Quran that we are representatives of God on earth, and that we possess the power to destroy the balance, and that we are asked to uphold the balance. So in reality, obviously, we can see that we've been given the mercy above the animals, and the power over the animals, and what we're doing in reality is causing mass suffering and mass consumption. And we know exactly that it is unhealthy for us and for the planet. So if we look into meat, the part meat plays in our food, it is very rich in protein and omega-3, yes, but it also weakens our immune system if we overconsume it. It increases our cholesterol. It has got a lot of saturated fats, and a lot of diseases such as viruses, cholesterol, obesity stem from the overconsumption of meat in conjunction with lessened consumption of vegetables, especially green leafy vegetables. We know also from reports that the prophets didn't eat much meat. In fact, the Prophet Muhammad never ever ate beef, reportedly, although Abraham did. But in the Arabian Peninsula during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, there wasn't much cattle around. and reportedly they ate more vegetarian food such as barley, oats, dates, maybe the odd fish, fowl, game, but red meat certainly not every day. It was something for special occasions. We know that sacrifice is required for the newly born and for the Eid festivals. So that is really when they consume meat. And occasionally, mostly that was lamb or mutton or sheep. And we should also look at the diversity of our food consumption. We shouldn't just focus on one type of meat, like in some cases that's pork, in some cases that's beef. We should diversify that as well. Look at turkey, look at kales, look at different types of fish. And in conjunction with that, we should make sure that it's sustainably and organically raised and free range and sustainably caught fish. So we should be grateful and we should control the portions, which is because it is good for our health, it's good for the environment, and also because it decreases the suffering of the animals. So decrease in meat, increase in fiber, and take a look at my other blogs about food, Corona and food, and hopefully then you'll be much more able to fight off these kind of infections. So if you like my video, please hit like, share, and subscribe. And if you also want to look me up on the internet, Sharik Ali Khan in Google, add the word Islam or science, and you'll find my books in Audible, Kindle, Amazon, and iTunes, and Apple Books, and those are ebooks and audiobooks. Thank you very much. All the best. Goodbye.